Welcome to the Too Bad Eugene podcast. Let's talk Too Bad Eugene.
Too Bad Eugene podcast, season 2, episode 4. My name's Adam Nye.
I'm Jason Reagan.
Perfect. I was hoping you guys would go at the same time. That works out really well. It would save some time.
I'm Jason Reagan.
Talk at once.
And that one is Sam Skelton.
Sam Skelton.
There you go. The two guitar players. They play at the same time. Why shouldn't they talk at the same time?
In sync.
We are talking about the song Sick tonight. And as we've been number one, it's great having Sam back. We don't have Calvin tonight. Our rotating cast, we roll with it. Calvin might walk in the middle of this. We'll see.
That'd be great.
I've been enjoying the last several episodes, starting with sort of like musical influences we hear in that week's song. So let's start with that.
Ooh.
With Sick. Like, what bands are evoked for you guys by this song?
It's got that good old skate punk feel, right?
Yeah, yes. But with what to me feels like a distinctly, like it feels to me like Pulley maybe, especially their first album, A Steam Driven Engine. Like, and this is a weird way to put it. It's like, I wouldn't say emo, but it has this particular melodic sense within skate punk that I wouldn't put on every band within the genre. Pulley especially feels this way to me. Someone No Use for a Name, who I feel like they come up all the time when we talk about kind of faster skate punk, but I do kind of hear that. Maybe Face to Face. What do you guys hear?
I was going to definitely say Face to Face.
And I was going to say No Use for a Name.
There we are. This
no one was going to say Pulley?
Yeah.
Were you guys into Pulley?
Yeah, for sure.
But
not as much as like Face to Face
or No Use for a Name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. That first Pulley record, if you guys haven't like heard it in a while, or if you never really like did a deep dive on it, like I like a lot of their stuff, but the first one, A Steam Driven Engine, it really kind of opened my mind to like, yeah, it does some things I don't think I've ever really heard bands do exactly that way. Where it's like, I don't know why emo keeps coming to my head. It's not emo. It is distinctly skate punk. But it has this kind of sadness and melancholy in it that I really like. And I feel that in this song especially. In Sick.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of something very specific about this tune. And the only thing that I could really think of that was specific was, to me, this is a quintessential Adam Nye thing. Like, of all the things that you've written, I mean, you've written a lot of things, but this was like, oh yeah, like this has like every proponent of what he's going to do. Like, I knew the avenues you were going down.
This felt like a stretch to me a little bit, actually, to be honest.
You roots. You were going into your roots.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like, it just was, it was one of those, like, right out of the gate, I felt like, yeah, all right, here we go. I'm in. It's happening. He's doing that thing. And there was, like, nothing that I recall that I would change. It was like, oh, like, I remember, like, this process. Here he goes. Okay, we're going here. I'm in. Honestly, like, I'm like going through like all of the drawers in my mind of different tunes. I'm like, yeah, this is not She's Gonna Be Mine, but it was on the road. Like, I remember you and I sitting down and going through a couple tunes, and when you and I did that very early recording thing, you had gone through like 4 or 5 different, like, so we're playing this one now, we're playing this one. And I remember thinking, like, wow, like the mind, like, this is it. Like, he's got it. So
I don't settle down quickly.
No, you don't.
I'm kind of messing with ideas. It's interesting because this one, once I cracked it, I knew I had something I was really into, but this song took me a while to crack, so you know, maybe we don't need to talk about other bands as much tonight as we do. We have other nights. We can start getting into what I think will be the most interesting part of our discussion of this song, which is the evolution. This is the first of the songs we've been talking about on this record that had much of a significant evolution. It wasn't a long one. I was just looking at what's really fun is I keep all the old demos of these songs, and they're all the name of them in my files is the date and time. It's Sick. November 1st, 2022, I think is what the first demo of this song was.
Not 2.0 or anything, literally the label.
No, because it's after that it has the time. And so I can just see this one, sometimes there's a version of it that comes an hour later, or maybe sometimes I just do a slightly different mix, and I can just watch the song evolve.
Disciplined to be not I didn't go back, I liked that one, and I'm going to make a little change here. I guess it would still give it a newer timestamp. Yeah.
So I just kind of keep them all, and I don't do that. When I export them from Logic, it automatically gives them all that information. I just leave it on there, and so it was fun kind of going back through it tonight. Before we got on here, I was checking those out because this one. Okay, it's funny because I'm kind of going through a similar thing now, where I'll write a song, and when I'm first done with it, when you're in the creative process and you're kind of stoked on what you're doing, you can kind of inflate how good it is. In the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And so the first version, which this is the first time on this season of the podcast I'm going to play earlier versions of this, demo versions of the song. And I'm interested because I don't even know if you guys, I don't remember whether I sent you guys earlier versions of this song or if I waited until I really had cracked it. But I know I played the first version of it for my wife, about whom this song is written, which we'll come to the lyrics and stuff later. But I had written it, I wrote it for her, and I played it for her. And she was like, oh, that's nice. Not that memorable. Or I don't know if she said it exactly like that, but it was some I don't think she said she said nicer things first, but of course I remember the oh man, maybe it's not as kind of solid as I thought. And so there was a bit of a process. So I want to get your, because again, if you ever did hear this first version, you haven't heard it in a long time.
Yeah.
So let's play the demo for the original, the first version of Sick, and then we'll talk about it. So check this out.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead and rock it.
Ooh. Ooh.
I like that. Why didn't we do it like that?
There's a nugget. There's a nugget in there.
I could never count the cost of the lengths you've gone for me, the oceans you've crossed. for whatever I've achieved. I'm just a doctor who cannot prescribe relief. Only compound your grief. But if love means you do what you can, and there's nothing that I can do, then I'll do nothing for you. I'll be your helpless man by your side. Whoa, if all I can provide, I will die. Whoa, but if I could, you know that I'd trade you side.
Ooh.
I don't think I ever heard that.
So,
Okay. So you want to hear the second one?
no, let's talk about that one first.
Okay.
I had totally forgotten about that clean guitar intro
Yeah.
because we've played that song live, a lot without any sort of,
Right. We don't do an
small, quiet intro.
intro. Right.
And now, it made me think back to let's use my acoustic because I was wondering we never play this intro, why is it even there? But it came from the original demo.
Yeah. I will say, I meant to preface that with, for the people at home, on demos, I don't spend a lot of time on the vocals. It's just sort of so we can get the sense of what the song is. So there is some sickeningly sour notes to my ears. I'm like, oh my gosh, listen to that. But it's a demo, whatever.
So that's what's inspired, as we've played that song live quite a bit, you were adding in some woes. But those woes were there in those choruses, so that must have been, or it's on record. It's
You mean when I kind of do it at the end of the chorus?
Whoa, yeah, I think it's over the sixth chord.
I didn't even think. I do sort of throw something like that in live.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
That's so hooky. I like it.
So, but here's the reason I felt like Rachel was right, because when she first heard it, she was like, "It's good," but the problem is that the transition from the pre-chorus to the chorus, the energy level goes down.
Yeah.
That was the problem. I'm singing a little higher in the pre-chorus, and then you go into the chorus, and I get a little lower, and it's not climactic. And where with the chorus that actually is in the version of the song we have on the record, when I finally came up with that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. Because it's like a launch ramp. You go from the pre-chorus into the chorus, and then the chorus soars. And I felt like that's what it needed, rather than this kind of whoa. It's like a little smoother. It's nice. I don't hate it.
It definitely feels like a filler, right? Here's a placeholder for something different. And what we did for the record was Sam and I doing a harmonized line.
The woes behind me. Yeah. I have the woes foregrounded in the chorus on that version.
Yeah.
But the final version, the woes move to the background. Actually, because I have 6. I'm only going to play. That's the only one we'll listen to all of on the podcast.
Do all 6. Let's go.
Yep.
But you can hear when the woes come in. It's about halfway through the evolution of the song that the background woes come in. But it's still, the melody of the chorus is still lower.
But isn't that back end of that chorus? It's some different chord work going on there. I feel like it's got a major feel, right?
Yeah, it goes from the A minor to the G to the way we do it now. It's like that inverted E up to the F.
Yeah.
But in that version, it goes from A minor to G to C. It goes to the root chord, which sounds corny to me.
Well, this version has an emo kind of a feel for me.
Oh, interesting.
Because of how it moves through that pattern. The way we do it is just a straight punk progression.
Possibly. With the second verse, I feel like there's definitely an emo moment.
Yeah.
Where we kind of get small.
Yeah.
Which I love.
No, it's fun. It's fun to hear it because I've heard this so many times.
Yeah, once we start recording, we've locked in on the version we're doing, and you're going through it so many times, it pushes out any earlier version you might have ever heard or gotten used to. You forget
even through like
whatever.
mixing and like that
Yeah.
whole like I've heard practicing just one after
Totally.
the next, So to me, this is so foreign.
That's what's fun about this podcast.
Totally.
It's kind of going into the foreign, like, and there's some, I found some nuggets, even just, okay, it's all later stuff, but some of the titles were fun to see, from my old demos. Oh, and this I will bring up now, the folder itself, the working title for the record when I was writing the songs, I had forgotten, was Proximity. Because the previous album was Distance.
Yeah.
And before I had an idea of what this record was going to be in terms of like a title for the record, I'm like, we did Distance, now let's do Proximity. I knew that wouldn't actually be the title of the record, but that's what all those demos, the folder that they're in, is called that. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I was calling these Proximity demos.
That's funny.
Okay, so should we go through the next one?
Well, just the only other thing I wanted to say from that one
Okay.
that I was very happy about was that one thing from the previous record, something that maybe I sometimes overwrite, right? And it's like I was trying to leave some spots where I'm like, I have a general idea, but I want to leave, somebody some room for creativity. And you heard the drums on that second verse, that kind of emo things. They're very minimal. And I did that on purpose. I left where like the drum beat, like the hi-hat is kind of busy, but it's just boom, ga, boom, ga. It's like a nothing beat. And I remember telling Calvin when I gave that to him, I'm like, this is not intended to be the actual thing you do. Come up with something cooler than this. And he did. I'm so stoked on what he actually came up with on the drum part for that second verse. When I played it for Andy Snyder, he did like a whoa, like that second verse, dude, that beat's insane. And I was like, yeah, that's because Calvin came up with it. Yeah,
He's a peach.
That's awesome. I think, you were talking about melancholy feel with Polly earlier, and yeah, this song, I mean, lyrically speaking, definitely has a melancholy feel. But I think we go to the relative minor chord a lot in this song.
Yeah, it's a minor song. Yeah.
But it's in the key of C, right? Or we're tuned down a half step, B, whatever. But we're playing C.
Yeah, you're right. The verses, I do remember. Yeah, you're right. Like we almost everything does start. The verse and the chorus start on C. The pre-chorus and the after-chorus riff thing are all based on A minor. Yeah. But then, like the major parts, you're right. All begin with C. So I remember when it was something of a discussion about whether the song ends on C or A minor, and I was like, "It's a sad song. It has to end on A minor.
Yeah,
it can't end on a major chord."
Right.
And I think that was the right call. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So we don't need to listen to the whole because the other version is the same except for the chorus. So Jason, if you want to call it up again, you can kind of skip into it and just sort of get. It's the chorus I want you guys to hear.
There we go.
Here we go. Inverted E that time, no C. Here we go.
What?
What do you
Dude,
think you're doing, Nye? What are you doing, Nye?
I'm trying to find something. You can tell like I'm not confident in the chorus, and I'm like, I gotta try some crap.
That
That's
is
a
fun.
natural 2. Was that a B flat right
So
there?
yeah, we're going from a C to like you move up to that inverted E, and then down to a B flat,
Yeah.
and then up to the F. Yeah, it's weird.
That's a Nye move right there because he does that in Brotherly Loathe.
It's so good.
I do like that flat 7.
And it goes.
Yeah.
It's a couple. There's another song that does it, but yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I played the demos of Stuck in the season 1 of this podcast where I played. There was some similarly weird evolutions of the chorus and Stuck. These two songs are kind of similar. They have a structural similarity, same key.
Title similarity. Two
Sick
letters.
and Stuck.
Yep.
Yeah,
both
I hadn't quite
S's.
caught that, but yeah.
K, and a C.
Thanks, Jason.
So that flat 7, to me, sounds like pulley.
Oh, interesting. I would need to hear an example.
That
But I'm
part
sure
sounds
there are-
like a pulley thing.
I didn't really think it worked. You could tell, that's sometimes the journey I'm on, is trying to just find that chorus that just immediately grabs me. And the one we have, like, I love it. When we play it live, when I hear it on the record, I'm like, yep, that's what this song wanted. That's the chorus I was in search of. And it's very, because sometimes that takes, because the timestamps between the two we just heard were a month apart. And I forgot to actually look at like how much later the chorus we actually have. I want to say it was at least a couple of weeks again later. And I'm playing with it constantly. And I'm, in the shower when I'm driving, I'm like trying different things in my head and, trying to get there. And anyway.
Always in the shower.
So, like, at what point did you, like, ditch all of that and go, we'll just go C, D, E?
Yeah, I don't know when exactly. I mean, like I've got like 5, at least 6, I think, versions of it before we get to that straight run up C, D minor. Is it? Now I'm forgetting. Do you guys play an E minor for the third chord, or is it like that?
Yeah.
C with an E in the root.
I go C, D, E to the F, right?
There's D.
No, that third chord is where you like, you got your
The inverted thing.
the inverted thing. Where you're
Oh, not in that part.
you're
That's
playing
the
an
next
E
part.
over, like the higher
Yeah.
note is a C.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
But I mean,
sorry
what-
for the
what is-
non-musicians at home. I'm like, what the heck are they talking about?
Well, what a difference between like that flat 7, like that's totally different,
Yeah,
like, feeling.
yeah. And when I hear myself do that kind of thing, I'm like, I don't actually. That's a move where like I've got something in the song I'm excited about, and I'm missing something I don't really know what it is. So I'm just trying stuff. And it was when I kind of realized, I'm like, I want climax. I want climb. And so I'm like, oh, I should go to the climbing chord progression. And I should just take my voice and shoot it high and just hold a big note. And like once I, got that and tried it out, I'm like, yep, that's what this song wanted. That's what I needed. But I think I had to get there conceptually first. The noodling, experimenting wasn't really getting me. I had to sort of back up and ask, like,
Who
because
am
the
I?
song, we're about to kind of go into the lyrics and stuff of it, but lyrically, it's like, it is a frustrated song. It is a sad song. And so I was kind of pairing it with sort of frustrating melodic moves that weren't that satisfying to listen to. So I'm like, all right, I think I got to uncouple a little bit. I need to let the melody be a little bit more satisfying than the lyrics really are. Let the melody be hopeful, while I'm singing, I'm looking for hope, but kind of struggling for it.
That is very interesting. I mean, to go through that kind of process of like trying to write the material where it sounds pleasing, right?
Yeah.
Satisfying to you.
Yeah.
But also to like marry that with kind of the lyrical content. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. Like, I don't think we don't always think of that, right? I just want to sound good. I want to sound cool. I haven't heard that,
Well, I mean, that is part of it. It's part of why, like, we're a punk band. It's part of the reason I love making punk music. I do like listening to some amount of music that actually really is super melancholy, like slow, sad, dirgy kind of music. But I can't satisfyingly make it. When I try making music that is just really in like a slow space, when I'm done demoing something, I listen back to it. I'm like, I'm bored. I'm not bored by other bands. I'm not bored by other musicians that do this. But with myself, there's something that, to me, if the beat is a bit quicker, if there's something kind of moving in the music, I feel the freedom to like, I can be in sort of a sad space. I can be in a frustrated space. I can be in a place where you're kind of slowly processing through difficult emotions, but it's easier to kind of be there if the song's kind of moving you along. I don't know. There's a kind of impatience. That's something Calvin and I actually talk about a lot because he is much more patient for.
He wants a build. He wants an
Slower,
emotional experience.
Yeah.
That comes to something grander.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not a bad thing. I mean,
And Adam just says, "I want climax." That's what he said.
This is a show for kids, Sam.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I can't wait to watch this like back because Sam, you were doing like this like half turn stretch thing during that moment. I thought, wow, like.
How many times have I said the word climax in this podcast? I haven't been counting. We should put a counter over in the side.
I love it.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, you know what? That was very cool to hear. I don't recall hearing any of that. You
Yeah,
didn't give
me
us
neither.
that at all.
Yeah, I think I held that back until I was happier with it.
I'm glad that you didn't because I would have probably did some arm twisting. Like, don't get rid of that because
Yeah, you would have attached yourself to those
Yeah.
earlier versions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's good to hold. I don't know, because a lot of times, like what you were saying before, when you're kind of in the song, you've been laying tracks down on it, and you're feeling like, dang, I am just sitting on gold with this thing, and you want to bam, bam, send it out to everybody you know.
Yes.
It's good to just let's give it a day or two, and then once you do send it out, then all of a sudden now you've got me and Jason, the committee, saying, well, let's do this or don't do that,
Right.
versus.
Yeah, once I've sent it out, it's not like the song has to stop evolving. Yeah. The evolution.
I would have totally latched on to one of those things. Like,
Interesting.
don't touch that. And then you'd be like, well, I don't like it anymore.
Well, here's another band secret. People outside the band don't know this. How often I forget to send you guys the final, like the version of the song of the demo that like I'm actually intending us to record. So you'll come to the recording session with like the guitar parts from an earlier session. I'm like, oh no, didn't I give you? Like that's changed, and that gets messy. And I know.
Welcome to
frustrating for you
recording,
guys.
kids. We're doing this in another key today. Are we ready?
Oh, that has happened.
It wasn't.
Demoed it in a different key.
Okay, I guess happened like on two different levels, being one a key change, and I'm like, dude, I already have like a voicing set,
Yeah.
like an open string type voicing.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this with a capo, and then another level being like, oh, we don't play that part. Yeah, that part has been eliminated.
Yeah, it's not even there.
I'm like,
What do I
I'm
do?
so stoked. I spent hours
I know.
practicing it.
Oh no, I've come up with a part that's much harder. Here you go.
Yeah, and now let's lay this down right now.
Yes, you guys are very patient with me. I'm a tinkerer for sure.
But
All
that's
right.
really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I want to go back and listen to that a few more times because
I want to hear that. Yeah, that flat 7.
Yeah, that is so good. Let's have more of that. Can we have more of that?
I mean, I definitely do flat sevens. They are in our music. I'm trying to think of where. Often, it's funny how I've been noticing. This is a different topic. When we get to Release Your Crown, I do a move in Release Your Crown that I hadn't realized I also do in a Deconversion Story, which is a move to the flat 7, which will have not been there, and it comes in at the very end of a chorus, as before the turnaround. It's something I do kind of a lot. Anyway, let's the lyrics of this song we don't need to spend forever on. It's a sad one. It's a very personal song. It's like it was meant to kind of be a cute sort of gesture to my wife of like, hey, I can never help you in your sickness, because my wife has a chronic autoimmune disease. She's had it for like 7 years, and anybody who has like loved someone who's going through like a serious sickness, especially if it's a spouse, you know the helpless feeling I'm talking about, where it's like, I really want to help you when I can't. And so, yeah, when I came up with an idea of like, hey, I know what I can do for you. Nothing. I'll do nothing for you because that's all I can do. And I'm like, that's a fun idea for a song. Not fun, but like, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to say because this is how I feel. It feels like I can't do anything. So I'm going to make a song about not being able to do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and do that not anything for you. As like I don't know why that seemed. It seemed.
I think
cute.
the most powerful part of the song lyrically for me is when, you say by your side,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're saying there's nothing you can do, but you're there by her side. And
Yeah.
that's the most you can do, and it's that just that alone is powerful, right?
Well, that's kind of where I was going before, saying like when I came up with the idea of the song, it sounded like it was like a romantically kind of cute idea, but when I actually wrote it, I'm like, no, this is actually really genuine and vulnerable and heartfelt, and I wasn't really going for that. But once I started, that's just kind of where it had to go. Was in this much more, nobody wants to listen to a song about a guy, struggling with the issues of having a sick spouse and have it be light and cute. That's not cute. So as I, really got working on the song, there's a couple lines like that still retains some of that kind of cheekiness of like the, I'm a doctor. I'm just a doctor who cannot prescribe relief. Because I've been talking before how much she has supported me. If you don't know, I do have a doctorate. I'm a PhD, but in the humanities, in Christian theology, in ways that don't help a sick person almost at all.
No MD.
I can philosophize about sickness if that helps, but it's
Here's how you got it, theoretically.
yeah, sure. But yeah, that was the one part. There's a line or two like that were a little tongue in cheek, but for the most part, no, it's a very very kind of hard on my sleeve, emotional song, which I do kind of a lot.
What I like about it is, and obviously because we're close to you and we know kind of where you're going before we release this out to the rest of the world, is it doesn't just necessarily apply to like what you're going through. Like I've had moments with like a grandparent, like,
Yep.
and having somebody that's just that close in your life and have them go through something incredibly difficult, and that feeling of like hopelessness, like, or just not knowing what to do, or where should I be, or how can I support? And I want to just make it all better for you. I mean,
Totally.
I had this moment here recently with a dog. Like, I've never seen a dog have vertigo before, but I've just experienced that. This little tiny 10-pound little nugget that has eyeballs going back and forth and is like throwing up uncontrollably. And you're thinking, well, how do I help? Can you just be normal again?
Yeah.
And something like that, they can't speak to you. Like that helplessness of like, you can't really communicate. Right. And,
Yeah.
but all I can do is be by your side.
That's right. When we had finished recording it, but way before mixing, when we had just sort of finished recording, I had sent it to Kevin Grewald, our like drumming engineer, who like has helped us record these things. And this was last summer, and his wife had broken her foot. And he said when he listened to the song, he like got a little weepy because that's exactly how he felt. Megan, his wife, was like stuck. She couldn't move around with this broken foot, and that impaired her life in so many ways. And he's like, I just want to fix it, and I can't. And I hate that feeling. And it's like, you don't know whether it's worse to be the sick person or be the person who loves the sick person and can't do anything about it. And that's yeah, that's sort of the battle scars themes here, right? Like over the last several songs, we've been talking about how loving people can hurt, and not just in the ways of like a breakup hurts. Like no, just in the acts of loving when, when your friend's going through something like a divorce. On Divorce Story, when people you love that are a part of your life that you see all the time move away, and this one, yeah, on like when loved ones are going through like a painful sickness, yeah, it's scarring.
Rough. I mean, just playing it live too, and over the last few months, we've encountered some unpleasantries in this arena, and.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into some of that stuff, but what I would say is when
he's been very public about it. We can talk about it. We're talking about our friend Brandon Jones.
We love Brandon Jones.
Yeah,
and,
he's been very open about it.
Going through that process and just knowing the material, knowing kind of what it means. And I remember when we first played this thing, it was very hard for me. That first go, like I knew we were, because this is pretty early in our live set.
Yeah,
this is song 2 or 3.
No.
Song 3. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is like after we do the first. 3.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5.
Okay.
It was 4, but now if we're doing won't know me, it's 5. Yeah.
But I remember it coming up. We played our first show, with this one in the set, and there was some stuff kind of going on, and it was just so heavy and emotional. And I mean, kudos to you, Adam Nye, for putting together such a poignant and specific tune lyrically that really kind of hits all the things I think in people's heads around this kind of topic of caring for somebody and that feeling of trying to just be there or how to be there, and walking through the process with somebody that is dealing with whether they have had a broken limb or something more severe. Very, very cool, but very emotional, I think.
For sure.
us.
I'll say, unless Sam has, I feel like we're boxing you out. But I'll say 2 things. Number one, what a satisfying moment it was as a songwriter. Like when I'm in the song and I'm like, when I'm writing the song, I'm just thinking about my situation and Rachel, my wife. Like that's the only place my head's at. I don't think about relatability or applicability in those moments. You're just moving through the song, and then when you have a song and you feel like you've said what you want to say, then you kind of stand up and you look at it from a little higher altitude, and you ask yourself, okay, how relatable is this? Like, how would somebody from the outside see it? And yeah, immediately I'm like, whoa, this might be like a super relatable song. And yeah, kind of got some chills thinking about some people I knew that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely not the only person. You quickly find out when you're going through something like this that you're not the only person going through something like this. You start talking to people and you're like, oh wow, how many people within our more extended friend groups, our church community, people that don't always talk about it, because not everybody likes sharing their like autoimmune disease type stories. So I started to find out how many people I know have autoimmune diseases, but I didn't know they had them because they don't really like to publicize it. But then once you're going through it, you kind of start finding out. And when I would talk to the spouses in those, and how much they felt that way, I was like, whoa, this is a fairly, not absolutely universal experience. I think there's something universal about it. Everybody has had someone they love go through pain, go through sickness, in some way. But there's something unique about being the spouse of a person with a chronic, years-long, painful illness. And that is not a universal, but a very broadly shared experience. And so I knew there would be a lot of people that would connect with it.
But Sam, I imagine you've dealt with some of this with the boys too, right? I mean, somebody gets hurt doing something, right? I'm sure there's some of that, like, oh no, my guy, like, how do I fix him?
Yeah.
He's not.
You know, I just had a weird. I mean, when my boys get hurt, I could really kind of give a crap.
Walk it off, kid.
Don't rub it.
When you were talking about, this song kind of applying to other people, I realized I'd never looked at this song like through the lens with my dad. You know, who passed away.
Oh
from
my
cancer,
goodness. Yes.
like, 6 months ago. My dad passed away, and and it just kind of hit me because then I thought, well, that's weird. Like, how could I not listen to this song and think about my pops? Every time I listen to this song, I'm thinking about Rachel and how Adam just kind of said, like, oh, when I was writing this song, I was purely, thinking about Rachel. With other songs like Divorce Story, like I do take that, 30,000 foot view of it, and I think about, Divorce Story. Oh, it's like, the trend I see with friends leaving the faith, Divorce Story. Other, things how it can apply. So, weird that I haven't listened to this song through the lens of like losing my dad, and I wonder if it's a timeline thing of where I'm in with my grieving. I don't know. We have a song in our set where we cover Creedence, and that has Creedence was like one of my dad's favorite bands, and so I played this song, Who Will Stop the Rain. That's the one we cover. Me and Henry, my boy, played it at my dad's memorial, and so definitely has like a special place, in my heart. And when I play it live, I try to take that, just kind of let it sink in a bit. Like, I'm singing this one out to the heavens, for Pops, I'm belting this one out for him, So I try to, because otherwise, you kind of, sometimes I feel like, I'm just staring down into the mic, and I'm, or I'm looking at the fretboard, and I'm just totally thinking about where my fingers are, or what my lips look like on the microphone. I don't know, versus just
I relate to that.
Sinking into the moment and letting it rip,
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But what you're saying, Taryn, like not thinking about it directly related to your dad. Like, it's funny, like I lost my father-in-law. Was it only like a month or 2 months, before you lost your dad?
I think like a month.
And this song doesn't quite connect to that experience for me. There's something similar, I suppose. But like, I think sons relate to their fathers-in-law a bit differently than we relate to our spouses. And there's something about the sentiment of this song that doesn't quite connect to the living grief I felt when Steve was sick and in pain a lot of the time. And then, the postpartum grief that we're both, we're going through now. There's something like it. There's some kind of like parallel there, but the song doesn't quite send me in that direction.
Okay.
I feel like maybe
just
because
kind of
we're
share
on,
that same thing that you were saying.
I feel like because we're on this side of the fence of the creation, and like we know that this is a specific thing that you were trying to express because of what Rachel's gone through. Mm-hmm. I think it's easier to kind of like tie that package together. It's a you and her moment. It translated for me, I think, more so with our friend Brandon.
Yeah.
Because it was a husband and wife scenario.
Exactly.
And so it was the same kind of avenue. But I wouldn't be surprised to have a reaction from somebody that outside that
For sure.
made it their own.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the nature of art, right? Like, yeah,
Totally.
I remember because before I remember I said I was going to say two things, and I only said one because I couldn't remember the other second thing at the time. But I remembered it now, and this might be kind of a flip, like an off ramp. We can start kind of wrapping it up here. I remember this song. You know, it was written lyrically toward the end of 2022, and then somewhere in the middle of 2023, I think, right? MXPX released the first single for their new record, that song "Up All Night," which is about the same thing. This song was written; it had not been recorded or released yet. Actually, I think maybe we had recorded it. Well, at least we were in the process of recording it. Like that was definitely underway, but the world hadn't heard it. And I remember seeing because they released a video and the song "Up All Night," which, you know, being up all night because she's at the hospital or, you know, she's sick or, you know, in the video they kind of have multiple scenarios, but it's a bad moment. Like they're hurt. And I will be, I forget the lyric, but it's something like, I won't leave you. I'll stay up with you all night. Stay up all night. And I was like, oh my gosh, he beat me to it. Oh, man.
That's fantastic. I didn't even make that connection.
I think I said something about it. We had a practice like that week after the song. I'm like, do you guys hear that song? Like they did Sick. Like they did it before we did.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
We remember doing this.
That rings a bell. I think listening to it, the only thing that in my head that makes me remember that is just the like that run. That's every time I hear it, like, or if somebody says that "Up All Night," all at first is that.
Musically, they're pretty different tunes. It's just a similar lyrical subject matter.
Yeah.
And I will say handled somewhat differently. They're not quite doing the like, I can't do anything for you. It's more pressing the like by your side aspect of it. Yeah.
That's
All
so
right.
great.
Well, any other thoughts on this?
Oh, I got
song?
one last thought on it.
Okay.
The chorus guitar part that I play is the same as Theological on the first record.
It's not identical. They're similar.
Note-wise, yes.
They are the same three notes, but not played in exactly the same sequence and rhythm.
It's pretty dang close.
Here I'm going to sound like Vanilla Ice defending his use of the ding, 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 ding. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Which is different, by the way. It is different.
They are slightly different. So Theological is whereas on the chorus of Sick, it's na 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 na, right?
Yeah.
It's very similar, and believe me, that's one of the places where like I start playing it. I think maybe the first time I did it exactly like Theological. I'm like, I better make it kind of different because I don't want to just rip myself off.
And then on the second, the second part of like the last chorus, I was like, well, we should shoot up the neck an octave higher, like just how it does on Theological. And so we did.
Yes. Theological, one of two songs I can still listen to from Moonlighting.
Yeah.
That's about as much of that
Great
record
tune.
as I ever listened to.
And how about our little vocal part, Sam? Huh?
Yeah.
Remember
like
that?
it.
That's fun.
Fun.
Like, was this the first time that we did that together?
A whoa?
A little harmonized backgroundy thing?
Might
I
have
don't
been.
know.
I think, like, you know, in terms of, like, you know, sequentially through the record, like in terms of the songs we recorded and the sequence we recorded them, I think this was the first thing that you guys both sang on the record.
This was like our Eagles harmony moment, this thing.
Dude.
And we discovered, wow, that's a nice blend. Look at those guys.
Sam had done some singing on Shaking My Fist. I think that had happened already.
No, I'm saying the both of us together. There was a blend.
Well, yeah, no,
There
you're
was
right. The
There
two.
was
I'm trying to think of how often that happens on the record.
Celtigan.
It should be
blend.
more. We should
I
do
would
that
love
more.
that.
I don't think it happens that many times on the record.
Yeah, more is always good.
Yeah. Can I? I just saw. I'll bring this up again in several weeks when we do Shaking My Fist. I didn't remember this at all. Do you know what the first demo's title was for the song that became Shaking My Fist? I had called, and I'm trying to remember even why. I had called it Old Slang. And I kind of wish Calvin was here because that sounds like a play on words from a song from the band The Shins. Do you guys know The Shins?
Yeah.
They have a song called New Slang. And I wonder if that's all I was doing. It was like, oh, I'll do old slang. Or the Shins have new slang. But I mean, because it was, I do remember this. The first lyrical, that's for Shaking My Fist. We'll talk about when we get to Shaking My Fist. I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't know why I started going down there. This was fun. Let's wrap it up and let one final call for either of you if you have anything else you want to say about Sick or anything about it.
No, man, good tune. One of my favorites. Love to play
Mine
it
too.
live.
I do think I want to say I love this record, and there's the top 3, top 5, they're all very close together. I still think I can say with some confidence that this is my favorite song on the record.
Ooh,
wow.
ooh, that's firm. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
It's number one.
that. It's
I
up
think
there
so.
for me. It's up there.
I mean, so many. Divorce Story is close. 1619 is close. I like the fast ones, don't I? But
I mean, we all do, really.
I think
it's
because
a
of the whole
sliding
thing of it.
scale.
Musically, lyrically, the personal connection, the way it connects to the thing with my wife and how much I love my wife and all of, it's it kind of boosts the song where I'm like, yeah, I think this is my favorite one. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, good chat, fellas. Hey, this is the first time this season we are releasing episodes 2 weeks in a row sequentially. There's been 2-week gaps. Not this time. Only 1 week in between.
Yay.
That's good. All right.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Here's a little bit more of the final version of Sick. See you next time.
Later.